everyone, welcome. We're starting it off. It's beginning today. It is the first of the Mr. Warren Hayes Show coverage, daily coverage, I should say, of the G1 Climax 34. You are here because you are into the biggest tournament of the summer, the most prestigious tournament in pro wrestling, and you want to get a recap, you want to get some reviews, you want to get some analysis every day. Or maybe you're just really watching it from afar and you want to hear how things are going and maybe get some recommendations. That's why you're here. This is what I am planning to give to you throughout the next month. Every day that there is a show, that there is a presentation of the G1, I will be here. Thereafter, I was about to say shortly thereafter, but I got to keep it real, maybe not shortly thereafter, but on the same day, I will be back to break it down and give you all my thoughts. And as we progress, we'll start talking about, win scenarios. We're going to start eliminating people before New Japan does it officially themselves, because we got a good brain for that stuff. It's G1 season, baby. It's exciting. And I'm going to tell you, here's a spoiler straight off the bat. I'm going to tell you, if the G1 holds up to the quality of the show that we got today on July 20, we ain't got nothing to worry about. We're going to have ourselves a blast, watching the G1 this year. But look, welcome. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, just consider giving a like, and if you're listening to this on your favorite podcast application, 5-star reviews on Apple Podcasts, 5-star ratings on Spotify help out a great deal. I would appreciate if you could help out a little bit like that. But we're not gonna dwell on all these formalities. This is not why we're here for. I mean, if it is your first time here, consider subscribing. Like I said, I am going to be doing this every day. So if you're into the G1, if you want some G1 talk, if you want to get into it, right? If you want to get excited about it, I'm your guy. Unless it starts to stink, then, we're just going to call it as it is, and we're going to have a miserable time. But at least we'll be having a miserable time together. But as it stands right now, we are having a great time together as it stands right now, because I really like this first night of the G1, this opening salvo, this debut for 2024 for the G1 Climax 34. Man, Osaka got a treat in the EDION Arena. 4,177 apparently in attendance. This, a little birdie told me that this just might be the largest attendance in that venue for New Japan since 2019, which is significant, and I think it might we might be onto something here. This is going to be something that is going to be very interesting to see as the tournament progresses, to see how well these houses are doing, right? It's no secret that pro wrestling in Japan is not doing great. New Japan is probably the one who's doing the best out of all the rest, your Noahs, your Stardoms, your Marigolds, your AJPWs, your TJPWs, your DDTs. Like, it's really New Japan that is doing the best. But then again, like, for the company itself, which is supposed to be the biggest company in Japan, which is supposed to be the richest, the richest one, and so on and so forth. It's not the one. It's not gangbuster numbers. This is very good though. It'll be interesting to see how things progress, because the G1 is being promoted under this air of rejuvenation, right? We heard the terms "changing of the guard" a lot during the show, in commentary and from the wrestlers themselves, from Shingo particularly. So there's a lot of that talk, and maybe that's what's fueling. Well, let me rephrase that. It'll be interesting to see if that aspect is fuel enough to get people back into the buildings, get people excited again. So this is where we're at right now. By the way, this is not a preview show. We're really talking about the G1 itself. If you do want a preview of the G1 before you dive in and you just want to wrap your head around what's happening and so on and so forth, I have one available for you on my channel that I did with Chris Samsa over at sportofprowrestling.com, and we did it a few days ago. We broke down the entire tournament from head to toe. Gave all our thoughts, our impressions, our predictions, our feelings, our logical thought processes. Everything is there. So if you want to start with that, I suggest you go. Check it out before diving into this. But then do come back because It's I don't want to say it's like Christmas because Christmas is one day and this is a month. I want to say this is like but it is like a holiday for me. Like this is one of these. The G1 is always a moment that I look forward to, and since I've been doing this for the past couple of years, that I look forward to sharing with you beautiful people. Let's get right into the show itself. As we mentioned, it was on July 20, 2024, the opening night of the G1 over in Osaka at the EDION Arena. Yeah, well, look, like I said, if you want my general impressions, about the show, I thought this was great. I thought this was a great wrestling show. You can do yourselves a favor and just plop in front of your TV and watch this. It's what, about 3 hours, something like that. 3.5. I don't even know. Like I enjoyed myself so much I wasn't looking at the time. I was just like, let's go, And then, if you want to skip entrances and stuff like that on New Japan World, well, you can. So it makes it even shorter. But I recommend watching the whole show. Like, it was a great way to kick off the program. Let's start with results before we get into the review itself. Oleg Boltin defeated Ren Narita in the B block. A block action saw Callum Newman defeating Shota Umino. Back to B block, HENARE defeated El Phantasmo. Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Great Okan in the A block. Jeff Cobb defeated Hirooki Goto in the B block. In A block action, Jake Lee defeated SANADA. Yuya Uemura defeated Dave Finlay as we swing back to the B block. Then back over to A block. Evil defeated Gabe Kidd. Semi-main event, B block action, Konosuke Takeshita defeated Yota Tsuji. And the A block main evented with Shingo Takagi defeating Tetsuya Naito. We're going to get to each and every one of these matches, but this is we start with the results, then we go in deep. And let's go right ahead, starting off with Oleg versus Narita. Oleg, who was debuting his new look, his young lion apparel is gone. He is no longer one of those. He's a guy now, and he's wearing the he's basically wearing the colors, the Kazakh colors, which apparently are a nice shade of blue. Not unlike this t-shirt I'm wearing right now. For those of you who have video, you can like, oh yeah, maybe it's a little darker, Warren. I didn't say it to you. Who cares? Just give me this, please. And and some gold, some yellow, and he came out wearing like a big animal hat, like the closest comparison for me to explain, to communicate it to you if you're not watching, if you didn't see it, is a Daniel Boone hat. But apparently made from a snow leopard, which is like the Kazakhstani official animals. I'm like, okay, so you're slaughtering your official animal to make gear. I'm going too far here, but it's still very funny. I like the gear. I like his gear looked great. The hat the hat made me snicker. What do you want from me? And Red Narita attacked before the bell. Of course, I'm sitting there going, oh, of course. But Oleg fights back and Narita cheats. You see the pattern here. He goes to the floor and Narita works the arm and he really works Oleg's arm. And despite a few spots throughout it all, Narita is just like, he's impeccable countering stuff. I thought he had a really good showing in this match. F5 by Oleg, gets big reactions from the crowd, followed by the kamikaze for the win. As far as an opener goes, I thought you couldn't have done any better than this. Like this felt good. It felt dynamic. Felt like both guys really wanted to get a win here, as you should, because it's the G1 and every point counts, right? No, I thought, look, I gave this match 3.5 stars. That's how much I liked this. I thought this was very good. And it was also nice to see that the House of Torture nonsense was kept at a minimum here, like really a minimum. There wasn't any, and no lights going out, no, Yujiro showing up at ringside. He didn't even use his pull-up bar. Narita. He didn't even use the gimmick that he brings to the ring. So to me, that's good. Solid performance by both guys here, and Oleg gets the first 2 points. And commentary pointed out, I'm not going to pretend that I got this amazing stat for you, but commentary did point out that Boltin Oleg is he's on a winning streak. Excuse me. He's on a winning streak. He's won his past 6 singles matches. Now, I don't know if this is setting up a thing. I would like to think probably not. Otherwise my predictions will just all go to hell if Boltin goes on a winning streak in New Japan. But yeah, look, a good opener, very good opener actually, very, very good opener to kick things off. Then we had, as I mentioned in the A block, Callum Newman defeating Shota Umino. We talk about Shota Umino cosplaying all these wrestlers. Well, now we've got Callum Newman, who's debuting like new gear as well, but clearly cosplaying Will Ospreay. And look, it's something that, okay, you understand. It's good, right? It's fine. We understand why he's doing this, why he's pulling Oz cutters in the ring and stuff like that. But we're gonna have to tame down these Will Ospreay connections real quick, because then the connections in the minds of fans are always going to be, this is the other Will Ospreay, and he's not as good as, like, who is going to be ever as good as Will Ospreay? Well, yeah, I'm not saying Callum Newman couldn't, but if we keep reinforcing the link, the comparisons are going to be made every time. You know what? Does that make sense? Like if he keeps looking like Will Ospreay and using Ospreay's moves, that's an inevitable talking point that's going to keep coming up, and it has the potential, the real deal potential, to blow up in Newman's face. Because he's not Will Ospreay, and Will Ospreay is one of the greatest to ever wrestle. So, but nonetheless, he gets a crab in early to work Shota's injured back. Yes, what a miraculous recovery from a slipped disc that was diagnosed a month ago. Wow. But this match had some good back and forth. I thought some great pace. Explosive bits of offense and sequence, which I was really appreciative of. Newman goes for a Nos cutter, but eats a cutter by Umino. Spanish Fly also by Newman. Stomp to the back, follows, and an Os cutter. And Newman gets the win here, so he gets his first 2 points on the board. Isn't it interesting that the new guys, like the absolute freshest meat in this, bear with me here. The absolute freshest meat in the G1 ended up getting wins tonight. Both Newman and Oleg got wins, right? And I can't help but think that's interesting. Anyway, I enjoyed this. I gave it 3.25. I thought it was good. It was pretty good. Certainly had a great pace. Even though there seemed to be a couple of miscommunications at times during this match. There was a couple of spots that happened. And I'm like, well, what happened here? Well, I'll tell you, it wouldn't be the last of the sloppiness tonight, though. But we'll get to that. Next, we have HENARE defeating El Phantasmo in the B block. You know, ELP is sad because he lost his friend. Because his friend is, you know, going off to wrestle in a warehouse. We think. Probably not. He's probably gonna show up on TV on SmackDown, right? That's probably right. Nicolao we're talking about, just in case. Anyway, but the whole gimmick here with ELP, coming back to him, is that his friend is gone and now he's sad, and he's acting like he's, you know, someone, you know, that like someone stole his puppy. And I'm like, come on, man. Like I talked about this on the preview. Like I am a big ELP believer. I still think he has the material to be a really highly placed guy. I think he could be a top guy in this company if they gave him a chance. At least one of the top baby faces, at the very least. You know, because everyone loves him. They really love El Phantasmo, and I think he's got the talent, the charisma, the capacity to do it. But at some point, they have to let go of the, you know, the little shucks type of attitude that they've given him, right? Because this is what happened. Like we're reliving what happened to him when he was kicked out of Bullet Club and didn't have any friends, and he was going around being all mopey, and ELP has lost his way. And I was wondering if that's what we were going to do again throughout the G1. And with how commentary was putting this over, it's clearly, yes, we're going to be doing another, shucks, I lost all my friends type of situation. And because commentary was saying, he has to find his way in this G1, stand on his own. And I'm like, we've been here, we've done this. And I think this shit is holding ELP back. Especially when you see him play the hits. You know, he does this early on in the match. He hits a Tope con Hilo, then the springboard senton into the Lion Salt, which is tremendous stuff, right? And then HENARE starts laying in the strikes, though. Beats ELP down and is like demanding some spirit out of him. Who lights up HENARE with a lariat, which is fine, but HENARE eventually hits the Berserker Bomb, gets a strike exchange, kicks him, and ELP kicks out at one after all of this big offense that he's eating. Super kick by ELP, who then hits his quote unquote his burning hammer, which isn't really a burning hammer, but you know, close enough. And then the Thunder Kiss 86, which always rules. But and he covers, but HENARE kicks out. A pop-up Samoan drop by HENARE and the Rampage, liver punch, Streets of Rage. HENARE gets the win and scores his first 2 points of the tournament. Really hard hitting, hard work match. I thought this was great. Very good. A tremendous match. 3 3/4 stars. We're well on our way here. And I'm sitting there going, and the audience is into this too. We should mention the EDION Arena, the people in Osaka. Great crowd. They were into this. But then again, you know, sort of ties to this theory that if you have a great show, you're going to have a great crowd, right? I mean, there's always exceptions, but I feel like the exceptions happen much less often than you are led to believe if you listen too much to people on Twitter. But oddly enough, you have a hot crowd. You have a hot show, you get a hot crowd. How about that? Huh. Go figure. A block. Great-O-Khan defeated Zack Sabre Jr. No, it's the other way around. Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Great-O-Khan. What am I talking about? I watched the show. This one starts fast, and Great-O-Khan, he picks up Zack on his shoulders and dumps him over the top rope to the floor. And Zack Sabre Jr. is like, all right, come on, big boy. He's on the floor, and he's like, all right, let's go. He eggs him on, gets him into a guillotine on the floor, but Great-O-Khan just bursts through the barricade and onto people. Like, you know how they sometimes give people the warning? It's like, move out of the way. You hear the house commentator going, move, or whatever he's saying in Japan. Japanese, and they didn't even give any warning. Like Great-O-Khan just like decided to do it, just bull rush the barricade. And so then they fall into the audience, and Zack, after a bit gets back up and he's like, okay, you want to brawl? We're gonna brawl, and he's like in a fighting stance, like he's ready to go, completely out of the typical element in which we see Zack Sabre Jr. And I thought, oh, okay, this is fun, this is good stuff, and Great-O-Khan was more in his wheelhouse because he's taller, he's stronger, he's more of a striker. This, he got the upper hand on this one. And the upper hand continues all the way back into the ring when they start dropping each other with takedowns like Northern Light suplex and an Olympic slam and arm drags and Zack Sabre Jr. locks in a triangle, but Great-O-Khan escapes via powerbomb. So Zack here is completely thrown out of his game because his usual submission game is not working. Great-O-Khan just has the power counters to just get the hell out of Dodge on this, which legitimately is the story of the match. Claw hold is applied by Great-O-Khan, which Zack Sabre Jr. fights out, lands a DDT, holds on to Great-O-Khan, and transitions into the Zack driver, the Michinoku driver, of course, to get the win. So something that you don't see every day with Zack, at least recently, if you look at his more contemporary work, Zack winning with a power move instead of a submission, but connects with the story of the match, right? Zack doesn't have it. He doesn't have the submission. The submission game's not working. He's got to go to something else. How am I going to put Great-O-Khan away? Drop him on his head. I mean, I feel that's how you can win most matches. Dropping people on their heads. I thought this was great. 4 stars from me on this one. Really fun. Tremendous. And not too long, right? Like an 11-minute match, right? And so far, all of these matches are like around the 10-minute perimeter. And you're feeling it. And you're feeling this sense of urgency. You're feeling like every match here is important, that everyone wants to score their points. Everyone is wrestling with a sense of importance, and they should, because it's the G1 and you want to score points. You don't want to be playing catch up. You want to be on the board. Like, it all makes sense. So everyone feels like they have a chance, and they're wrestling like they have a chance. And I love this so far. Jeff Cobb defeated Hirooki Goto. A match of big guys, big strong guys who like to throw guys around. Then you have Goto doing planchas. And Jeff Cobb starts landing his big power moves after that and does the standing moonsault. Hirooki Goto does his best to chop Cobb down, and when he eventually does, he gets huge reactions from the crowd. Like the people, they love the Hirooki Goto. Ushigoroshi follows, and they have this great final stretch. They really do. They have this tremendous final stretch where they're trying to land power moves on each other. They're reversing in and out of stuff. And Jeff Cobb does a tour of the islands out of a suplex position for the win. You didn't quite see it coming. That's just good stuff. It's just really, really good stuff. Cobb gets his first 2 points on the board. 3 3/4 stars for me. And I'm sitting there and I'm going, usually I take a break. Sometimes I'll press pause because I don't get up like at 3 a.m. anymore to watch New Japan. I can't do it anymore. So I watch the replays. And sometimes, I'll press pause and then I'll walk around, I'll stretch, maybe take the dog out for a quick walk, But I was like, nah, man, I can't move. I got to sit down and watch I got to watch this from start to finish, right? I hope this is what they do with Cobb. Sub 15-minute sprints, just going in, dumping people, doing the standing moonsault and just braining people. It's like like this was one of the shortest matches not the shortest match, but one of the shortest, 7:24, 7 minutes and 24 seconds. It was a shorter match than the opener. And that's always how I've envisioned, and you can, if you listen to the Mr. Warren Hayes show on Tuesdays, which on Wednesdays, well, depending when you show up. If you listen to the Mr. Warren Hayes show proper, you know that I've been pitching for Jeff Cobb to be this type of TV champion, just coming in, a sprint, destroys a guy and moves on, right? This is kind of how, this would be my blueprint. This is how I do it. Not, when I say destroy, not run through a guy like he's Goldberg in the midst of the streak. More like this, where he's just being overwhelmingly powerful. The other guys try to get some stuff done and they're having difficulty. They do get some stuff out, but Cobb always has a power answer to it. And, under 10 minutes, we're done. This is what I want from Jeff Cobb. This was great. And this has its perfect spot in the G1, right? Landing bombs on each other. We're in and out. Thank you. Good night. You love it. You don't have to do 20-minute match to get me compelled and interested in your stuff. You do have to try harder to get me compelled in a Jake Lee SANADA match, though. That I don't know what you could do to get me compelled. Maybe if there's a zany prize at the end, maybe they get, maybe it's sponsored by a body shop, not the body shop, but like cars. And at the end, of the match, whoever wins gets, can get work done on their car. And the president is there with a big check and, all that. That's the kind of thing that would speak to me. I'd be, there's some interesting stakes here. Because, man, I don't know who got excited at the idea of SANADA versus Jake Lee. I honestly, and listen. This is my worst match of the show. No surprise. And look, and I gave it 3 stars, which isn't even a bad match. This was not a bad match. It entirely served its purpose. A sub 5-minute match to establish Jake Lee as a player. Look at what it did here. He comes in, it's his first match. He looks, the charisma vacuum that he is, looking, lanky and dopey like he usually does. And he comes in and he beats up a former IWGP World Heavyweight Champion and not all that far removed. It's not as if he, defeated Togi Makabe, who hasn't sniffed a title in like 70 million years, right? No. SANADA was the champion right up till January this year. For most of the summer, well, all of the summer actually, last year, 2023, the fall, and then lost the title at Wrestle Kingdom. Regardless of how you feel about SANADA and SANADA as IWGP champion, regardless, this is still the message that was sent here, and it was purposeful. Jake Lee just demolished a former world champion in under 5 minutes. You tell me that New Japan doesn't understand that they have an uphill battle to get people to care about Jake Lee. Not after this match. You cannot tell me that they're not aware. Not after this match. If they were any more confident, they'd probably set it out a bit. They probably wouldn't have fed him SANADA from the start. These things are all calculated. We can't sit here and pretend that, it's a randomizer who picked all the positions. They were doing, the Royal Rumble thing in the day where you had the bingo tumbler with the numbers inside and people came out and picked them. We're not going to pretend that this was random. This is calculated. They know what they're doing with Jake Lee here. They know what they had to do. to quell critics like myself who shrug and go and who say the silent part out loud that nobody understands why Jake Lee is in the positions that he is in all the time. Why he's a Triple Crown champion over in AJPW. Why he's a Noah GHC heavyweight champion. Why? No one understands it. He doesn't draw business. He's awkward. He's boring. No one understands it. Never draw a dime. Never drew a dime and was in positions where he had to draw. And he didn't. Not a blip in business. You know what my favorite part of this match was? Chris Charlton taking the opportunity during Jake Lee's entrance to bury Stephanie Vicaire. Where he said, well, Jake Lee's coming in, you know, Chris Charlton's on this crusade to make sure to he's given us the Jake Lee hard sell on Twitter. And he's continuing here and he's saying, you know, he's counteracting something that Walker Stewart said. And Charlton says something to the effect, he left Noah in the right way. He left Noah the right way and didn't pull out of an advertised match 2 days before the event, kind of thing. He said that pretty. I'm paraphrasing, but I'm very close to the exact quote. I laughed out loud on that one. But that really was my favorite part of the match. Like two of the stiffest. And when I mean stiff, I don't mean working stiff, like stiff as a board, you know. Two of the stiffest, dull as drywall, pro wrestlers going at it. I'm glad it lasted less than 5 minutes. I couldn't have taken 12 minutes of this. What are we talking about? Anyway, shocked. This is the worst match of the night. Again, wasn't terrible. It's just stuff happening. It's just stuff happening. You know what I mean? There's no life to this. And one last thing about Jake Lee, because we'll certainly have other opportunities to go after him during the tournament. What the hell? Why are we putting him in the War Dogs? The War Dogs, you know, who established that they're just, you know, they're unhinged, violent, you know, they're brutal. And Jake Lee is like the softest man alive, you know, he's like, he does his hand gestures and he, you know, minimal movement, minimal passion. Like he does, you know, Dave Finlay has more oomph than Jake Lee does. Like it's such a weird fit. I don't know who thought this was like, yeah, this makes a lot of sense. But look, you know, I'm going to say this right here so that it's on the record and we'll be able to move on. But Jake Lee has all the he has an entire tournament to win me over. You know, and I'm sure that's high up on his priorities, but you know what I mean? Like he's got a whole tournament to win me over and make sure that and prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. And if he does, you know, if I will not hide behind anything. And if he suddenly starts pulling out, you know, 4.5 to 5 star bangers every time he goes out, and there's a complete turnaround, I'm like, I'll be the first to cheer. I'll be the first to be thrilled. I'll say, look, meat and crow. I will eat a hearty portion of crow if need be. I will, and honestly, I hope he does. I really hope he does. But, you know, the little devil sitting on my shoulder is whispering in my ear right now. I can hear him. He's going, yeah, but it's Jake Lee. That's what we're doing right now. Dave Finlay, back over to B Block. Dave Finlay defeated Yuya Uemura in here. Now, here is the match that I was not expecting to be really high about, and I am super high on this match. Like I thought this match was really great, and it's Yuya and Dave and okay. I'm trying to say too many things at once. Per usual, Finlay he brings it. I thought he really brought it in the match, and he goes after Uemura, beats him down on the floor. And Uemura is doing the best come from behind babyface act and it works for him. And people are into him. He's fighting back, does drop kicks and a bulldog, but then there's a superplex by Finlay that cuts all of that off. And then he continues. He gets another heat segment. He had a long one to begin with. He gets another one here. Uemura mounts his comeback, plays the hits, lands a flying crossbody as well. A little back and forth. There's a Uranagi that follows, a Dominator by Dave Finlay, a German with bridge by Yuya, followed by a Dragon suplex. The crowd is super loud at this point. Not the loudest that they'll be during the show, but very loud. They're into it. They start striking each other. Big bombs. I'm like, holy shit. And then Dave Finlay buckle bombs Uemura twice and goes for a power bomb, but it's reversed into a Rana, right into a pin by Uemura, who gets like the flash win here to a big cheer from the crowd. And this is the global champion that has been defeated. Technically speaking, the second most important title of the second most important title of the company, right? Yeah, I thought this was tremendous. I'm surprised at how much I love this match. 4.25 stars is what I gave this match. It was well done, super well worked. I thought the guys told a tremendous story with the most basic story alive, in which Uemura is just the white meat babyface, and the other guy's the dastardly heel. But the pace was good. They didn't linger into these long heat spots where I think Dave Finlay always struggles with, despite the fact that he's supposed to be one of the top heels. When his heel control segments arrive, I find he struggles to do stuff here. Maybe it's because of the time, because again, another match that lasted. I'm shocked. This was 16 minutes. See, I was about to say, it's about 10 minutes, another 10, 12 minutes, because it felt that way. That's how good it was, how invested I was into this match. Look, I got nothing really bad to say in this match. If these matches that I expect less of are all this good, we're in for a treat this year, folks. We're off to the races. Uemura gets 2 points. Evil defeated Gabe Kidd over in Block A. That was the next match. And here's another shocker. I thought this match was great too. Yes, it is an Evil match, but I thought this match ruled. I thought this was great. I thought the work here was tremendous. And you know what helped out a lot? You know what helped really, to me, put this match over? The crowd. Because they were so loud for Gabe Kidd. Gabe Kidd over in Osaka. There's no denying it. They were cheering loudly for him the entire match. And when I say loudly, you could hear, like, it was unanimous, and they were into it. And when they were fighting in the audience, you had people pumping their fists, going, yeah, beat him up. This crowd was tremendous, and it did help elevate this match. And I'm sure the guys felt it and gave a little more, because you give a little, you give a little more, you give a little more, well, you give a little more. And this all started before the bell. Like, the official time on this is 10:21, but it was longer than that. They fought way before the bell rang. As Evil was doing his entrance, he got Topikan heloed by Gabe Kidd, who just lit up the crowd, and then does a Norihara moonsault. They go and Evil tries to escape into the crowd, so that's when they fight in the crowd there, and there's it's just wild, and the audience, like I said, super into it. The bell hasn't rung yet, and Gabe Kidd's doing a spot where he's running from one end to the arena to the other. I don't know. We'll never know what he wanted to do to Evil, because Evil just tosses a chair at him, just willy-nilly. Wham! Just throws a chair as he's running, and he's running full force. Like Gabe Kidd, you know, if Gabe Kidd is running, he's not like, it's not it's not a saunter, you know, he's not jogging. He's not power walking. No, he's going in full cardio. It was tremendous. They finally get to the ring and they start fighting. Huge reactions for Gabe all throughout the match. There's a lariat exchange that's won by Evil. Evil is trying to do a ref bump, but it's not working. And multiple times, you know, Gabe Kidd's not falling for it. Dick Togo appears after Gabe Kidd, though, shoves the ref off. You know, the story here is that he's pummeling Evil and the ref is getting involved. And Gabe Kidd, his story, his persona is he's a madman, you know? And his persona is that he gets so heated, he loses perspective, right? He just skews off of the course. And that's what he did here. He was so heated, he shoved the referee. So he caused a ref bump, which allowed Dick Togo to interfere with the garrote. They do the magic killer, and then Evil gets the win with the was it the everything was evil? I don't remember. I didn't write it down. So Evil gets his first 2 points of the tournament in a raucous match with Gabe Kidd at which again I rated at 4.25 stars. This was great. It was hard hitting. A solid and a well done Gabe Kidd match. Like a solid, well done Gabe Kidd match. And you know what? This is minimal nonsense from the Dick Togo. I don't know if it's, look, I kind of connect with what happened with Ren Narita, where there was effectively nothing, you know. There was nothing, you know, that was kind of like the usual outrageousness that House of Torture matches have. Here it's just Togo jumping in to interfere and, you know, ref bump. Okay. You know, but we've seen worse. Now, if this is the level of interference that we're going to have from House of Torture matches moving forward, especially in the G1, I can kind of live with this. I'm okay with this. And it makes me wonder if President Tanahashi's 10-point plan, the one where he had mentioned about reducing interference and how he was going to fine wrestlers, you know, and give some kayfabe reasons. But I don't know if this is a direct consequence of that, where it's like, look, we're not going to take it all away because it is ingrained in the act of House of Torture, but maybe not have, you know, a revolving door of interference throughout the match, which can really weigh it down, right? Maybe that's President Tanahashi's doing. I'd be okay with that. So, you know, his 10-point plan is off to a rousing start, if we're honest. Rousing start. Then we get to the semi-main event that was handled by the people over at B Block. Konosuke Takeshita defeated Yota Tsuji. Yeah, I mean, look, I thought this was great too. I thought this was tremendous, a tremendous match. Takeshita does the rope running flying lariat thing and a Topikan Hilo, and he beats Tsuji on the floor. Tsuji does a top rope head scissors followed by a tornillo. So, you know, harkening back to the CMLL days. Gutbuster and Boston Crab by Yota Tsuji followed. Brainbuster by Takeshita. And then they start just going after each other in the corners. Running knee by Takeshita and a German. And there's a spot where they're setting up something on the top rope, but Takeshita completely slips off. I was like, oh no. But he seemed okay. Everything seems fine. He got right back up. And they went back up to do the spot again, which was a Spanish fly. So, you know, that was a bit of an unfortunate little sloppy spot there. Takeshita tries to get Yota Tsuji down with a suplex and a poison run, but Tsuji keeps fighting on. They start dropping bombs on each other. Bit of a sloppy second rope stomp by Tsuji there as well. This wasn't a perfect match. He goes for a spear. It's interrupted by a knee strike straight to the face by Takeshita. Does the blue thunderbomb and the spinning brainbuster for the win. I thought, like I said, I thought this match was great. I think, and I give it 4 stars. Because I thought the work was phenomenal. I thought the story was compelling. And you really didn't know which way this was going to go. And I feel like they played that. They played into that really, really well. But I will admit that the match was a little rough at times. The match was a little rough, you know, and the blown Spanish fly spot that they redid, like practically, well, immediately after, kind of, that's a shame. You know, it's one of those where it kind of, wouldn't say takes me out, but it kind of ruins my vibe, kills the mood a bit. I feel like there was this cloud over the match moving forward, but you know, the guys did their best, and turns out their best is really fucking good. just in case you're wondering. But it was incredibly physical, tremendous work. I feel I can't give it under a 4. And I liked it. I still liked it tons. And I still think the work was on par. I think both guys came across as superstars in it too. And in the, you know, the Oxford Dictionary sense, not the, in the Oxford Dictionary sense. But yeah, it was a little rough. And I probably would have gone higher if it wasn't for the weird stuff. But here I am complaining that I didn't give a match between Takeshita and Tsuji more. This is the world I'm living in right now, which isn't so bad, you know, when you think about it. You know, I probably, you know, that's it. I probably could have given it more, but there was not with the end result being what it is. But it was fine. And maybe, you know, deep down inside, I was expecting more from these two fine young gentlemen. Maybe I was expecting more. Is that unfair? Maybe it's unfair. Maybe it's unfair. Because I certainly am not expecting this level of work from Jake Lee and SANADA, you know. But then again, isn't it also fair to critique someone's work based on their, based on the expectations that their body of work creates? Isn't that fair too? You know, you go and see a Scorsese movie. Well, you're not critiquing it on the same scale as a Michael Bay film, or you know. Does that make sense? I think so. Makes sense in my head anyway. So 2 points for Takeshita, who is off to the races here. I think he's gonna have a really good tournament. And one last thing to just connect back to Jake Lee, if we may. One of the things that the Jake Lee Defense Brigade, as minimal as it is, but it's out there, say, you know, it's like, well, look at this guy, he's so tall. And I do agree, and I've talked about it. The guy is tall. And like, you know, that's something that you cannot teach, as one person once told us. And it counts for a lot in pro wrestling. It's a tremendous look, and you can get away with a lot of stuff with that as well. And it's something, you know, it's physically imposing. It's tall guys in pro wrestling have always had an easier time. You know. But you know who else is tall? Konosuke Takeshita. Did you see when he was doing the face-to-face with Yota Tsuji? Yota Tsuji, who in most circumstances, when you see him in New Japan, staring down the opposition, he's looking down at them, but he's looking up at Yota Tsuji. At Konosuke Takeshita, excuse me. Yota Tsuji is looking up. He's got his eyes poking up there. He's got to lift his chin a bit. He's got to knock that head back. Got to crank back the old neck. A bit. You know, we're not talking like a 6 foot difference here, but a bit. You know, Jake Lee, well, you know, one of the things that make him special is that he's tall. Well, you look, Konosuke Takeshita is tall. And he's very special. And you don't have to sell me on how special he is, because I can see it. Anywho, I promise you, this will not be the Jake Lee hate brigade here throughout this, throughout my daily coverage. Oh, come to think of it, I shouldn't promise that. Between you and me, I don't know. I wouldn't want to commit to something. Wouldn't want to promise you something that I might not be able to upkeep. And then we had the main event where Shingo Takagi defeated Tetsuya Naito. I think this qualifies as a surprise. I think most of us would say, huh. Well, I sure did. I sure went, huh. This was good. This was very good. But look, I can't go 4 stars on this match. I thought this was very good. Tetsuya Naito is a fantastic star. Shingo Takagi is just a proficient professional wrestler, just tremendous. Like, these are 2 top guys, right? It is the most beaten drum. It is the drum. This drum has been beaten on so much that it's starting to sound hollow. Naito is he's just physically not in the same spot that he is anymore. And I thought this match was slow. And I do believe that it's not because of Shingo Takagi. And it's a little sloppy at times. And again, it's not because of Shingo Takagi. You know, Naito's trying to pull stuff off. You know, his ground game is fine, but the acrobatics, the aerial stuff has always been so ingrained into what he does that it's hard for him to get away from it. And the Destino, man, it is just rough to watch now. And it's something that I don't get excited about. My ass cheeks clench when it's Destino time. Because I'm like, is he going to be able to pull it off? And then I get nervous for him. Because I don't want to live secondhand embarrassment like I did watching this match when he completely fudged one. He completely fudged one despite Shingo fucking carrying him over his shoulder. Like, the days of Naito doing a springy Destino over the guy are done. Like, his opponent is carrying him now. Like, I mean, physically, literally. You know, I don't know what to tell you. And I think this is going to be the plague. Now, do I think that main event Tetsuya Naito might show up at some point during this tournament? Yeah, especially if he makes it further down the line. And look, he's got multiple main events during this tournament as well. So, yeah, there's going to be matches where he's going to show up. Everyone can have an off night. Maybe this was an off night for Naito, but I get it. People tell me he's a vibes wrestler. That's fine. I get it. I know plenty of vibe wrestlers though who have adapted, who have changed what they do in the ring to prey off the vibes as opposed to trying to do stuff that they can't perform anymore, if that makes sense. And the Destino, man, I know The Destino, to me, should be tucked away. He should retire that and just do anything else. You know, it's like he's a guy like, you know, like Chris Jericho deciding that a spinning back elbow was his finisher. Legitimately, Naito could do that. He could do that. But maybe it's a question of pride that's keeping him from doing it, which is absolutely fine. I get it. You know, maybe it's just a question of him, you know, at this stage in his career, would changing up his finisher mean, would that be a subtle admission that I don't have the physical capacity of doing it anymore? Maybe he's saying, you know, I think that's a reasonable, explanation as to why he doesn't do it or hasn't done it or doesn't want to do it, //, you know, whatever's the right angle here. But he's not in a good spot to do these Destino things anymore. And you know, and I love LIJ and I love Naito, and it doesn't change the fact that I think he's one of the greatest to ever do it. But like this run that he's on right now is so important to New Japan that he has to continue giving. He has to continue giving, at least till January included, the illusion that he can still go, right? At the very least, that he can still perform at a high level. You know, how long did it take Tanahashi to get to that point? I liked the match. I thought it was very good, but you know, we just can't pretend that, you know, everything's okay, and you know, shame on us for pointing this out. The reality is that, and if he's in this state versus Shingo, a guy who he's friends with, a guy who is a top tier pro wrestler and who can bring a great match out of anyone, if he's like this with Shingo, I shudder to think of what's going to happen with the other main events when he's with other talented pro wrestlers, but not as capable as Shingo Takagi is, for instance. Anyway, it's going to be interesting to see how this tournament, this tournament handles Shingo, not Shingo, but Tetsuya Naito. You know, because Naito has. Because it is a grueling physical tournament. And like I said, he's in a lot of main events. So he's not going to be able to do these, you know, these 5-minute Jake Lee matches. He's going to be in the 15, 20-minute matches, 15-minute, 18-minute, 20-minute plus matches. For most of for a good part of the tournament, for a good chunk of the tournament. So I don't know. Look. And then the playoffs, if he qualifies, I think it's okay to be a little concerned. And if he turns around and proves us wrong, that's fine. But if this was not a pattern, you know, we're not just going off the G1 here and going, yeah, well, it's just one night. It's happened before. And yes, he's still able to pull out tremendous performances. We've seen it. We saw it in the G1 last year, and we saw it at Wrestle Kingdom this year. You know, a couple of weeks ago, Forbidden Door, I didn't think, neither he nor Jon Moxley, and we're particularly high level in that one. Anywho, did I say 3 3/4 stars is what I gave it, and 2 points for Shingo Takagi on that one. So the standings, if we take a look at that right now, not much to say. Bunch of people with 2 points and a bunch of people with nothing. There's nothing to break down in the standings at this point. Yeah, you know, you can see them right here. You can see them right here if you're watching video on YouTube or Spotify. But as it stands right now, there's nothing to analyze, nothing to break down. We'll see how things go over the next couple of days. And what is happening? Well, first of all, before we get too far into that, if you're looking for recommendations on my part, like I said at the start of the show, watch the whole thing. Like, go nuts. It's a great wrestling show. Like for real. Like there is nothing under 3 stars for me. Everything is good to great. There's people that will surprise you. There's some great performances, and it really gets into the spirit of the G1. It makes it I finished this and I'm like, all right, let's go. Give me some more. I'm into it. I'm excited. Let's make it happen. So I would just go ahead and watch the whole thing. Now, if you want recommendations, because you're like, well, Warren, I don't have all that much time because I've got, all of this other stuff to do. I have a life, Warren, and I appreciate that. Don't get me wrong. Great-O-Khan versus Zack Sabre Jr. Definitely. You should also watch Gabe Kid versus Evil and Dave Finlay versus Yuya Uemura. And Tsuji versus Takeshita, I think. So yeah, at that point, you might as well watch the show. But okay, let's say you only had 2 matches to pick. Oddly enough, I tell you Gabe Kid versus Evil and Dave Finlay versus Yuya Uemura. That's how wild this tournament has started off. Where those are the 2 matches that I'd recommend for you, as opposed to watch Shingo and Tetsuya Naito. You can watch. It's not a bad match, but it's not a necessary watch. I feel these 2 are a little more, might change your opinion on some people. You might open your mind up to some people. Maybe not change your mind, but maybe open your mind up to some people and their as to what they usually do in their regular performances. How about that? So what do we got coming up tomorrow? July 21st. We're still at EDION. Look at the crowd. If that crowd is anything as like it was today. And you know what? Not only that, great crowd, great event. They should have more tickets tomorrow. They should be able to pack in more people, right? Off of the word of mouth, people hearing about how great the show was. Right? Come on, Osaka. So who have we got in the? We'll go block by block. In the A block, we've got SANADA versus Callum Newman. That's going to be opening up the show. We've got Great-O-Khan versus Gabe Kid. We've got Jake Lee versus Evil. Oh my God! At least we're getting them out of the way early. Shota Umino versus Shingo Takagi, which I will be very interested to watch, and Tetsuya Naito versus Zack Sabre Jr. That will be the co-main event according to the listing. As far as B block goes, Boltin Oleg taking on HENARE. We've got El Phantasmo taking on Ren Narita, Hirooki Goto versus Yuya Uemura, and the main event, Yota Tsuji versus Dave Finlay. Where's Konosuke Takeshita? Well, he's honoring a date on for DDT tomorrow. Good on him. I respect that, and clearly New Japan respects that as well. So his B block match will be happening, I believe, on the first night of A block action. So that he's not behind, right? Which I believe is it in Hiroshima? Yes, it is in Hiroshima. He'll be taking on Jeff Cobb on July 23rd, which technically is an A block night, but he's going to they're squeezing him in there so that he doesn't stay behind and it starts breaking our brains trying to figure out who has the points and who's going to advance in all these scenarios. Like 2 years ago in the G1 when they had people not wrestling for weeks at a time. What a disaster that was. Anywho, I think that about wraps it up. That wraps it up for today. We are done with the very first G1 Climax review, recap, whatever you want to call it. Recap and review, how about that? For the G1 Climax 34 this year. I'll be back tomorrow to recap Night 2. I'm already excited. This is a great way to kick things off, and I hope you guys and gals and non-binary pals will be here as well. Leave a like if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe if it's your first time here so that you don't miss a single moment of the G1 recaps, or follow me on your favorite podcast application and leave some reviews and ratings there as well. So there we go. Hope you have all a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow.